Okay, this is homework oneของ network programming. We're trying to do extending DNWS, right? And what the professor wants us to do is to have a server of our own to be able to display client IP address, client port, browse information, accept language, accept coding, encoding. All right, as seen in an example here. อันนี้คือตัวอย่างเนาะ We can check in the website later to search what it looks like. So what we want to do first here is we have to create it. We have to go to the GitHub of the professor, right? And we must fork it. Otherwise, he can't track your submissions, right? Then we have to extend the code, extend the code by making this, and then we submit it. Make a pull request and turn it in MS Teams here. I've completed here, but I will show you step by step how to do it. So first things first, yeah, you just come to the page, the link, no, professor's link. It'll bring you to the GitHub page. For what you have to do, yeah, first things first is you have to press here, fork. You have to fork your own copy from Ajahn Put, and then we just create a fork. After this create a fork, now we can bring it down. We can copy it down. So what happens here, we copy the HTTPS here, and then we go to our VS Code. Then what we do is we open a new window here, brand new one, and we click clone git repo. If you don't know how to open it up, we can just press a new window here in the file top left, new file. As you can see here, it would be just the same thing. We can clone GitHub. Maybe just paste it right here on top. Sorry, you can paste it. Sorry, I'll try again. There we go. Clone. Then we just dump it somewhere. We can dump it in here. All right, as this creates, then we open it. So now we have right here. We can trust yes. Right here we have a bunch of files. We only have to manage. Only ต้องเปลี่ยน two files, config.json and stat plugin. First things first, I'm going to create a copy for stat plugin. And then I'm going to copy and then paste it right here. So it's going to be a copy of. And then right here, it's going to be errors, but don't worry about it. What's going to happen is I'm going to remove stuff from here. So just follow with me, From line 12 to line 16 we remove. And then we remove line 16 to line 23 in pre-processing. And HTTP response, here we can just remove these line 23 to line 26 right here. Okay, then yes, the rest we do not have to touch. We leave the rest open right here. Okay, so now what happens here is that we want to be able to run it, and so we have to name it what the professor wants us to do. Our professor wants us to have a name of the file to be called client info. And so what we have to do is we have to name our file client info. So we can write here, rename it to be client info. After that we have created it, we have to change our names, all the things ที่มันขึ้นมาว่า stat plugin. We change it to client. Let's call it client. What's it called? Client info plugin. Okay. Now we just overlap these ones here, then just copy paste for these two. Now, before we can be able to run it, we have to go into the config.json file so that we can implement it. เมื่อกี้เราสร้าง another file, right? And so it has to handle, this server has to handle a different link, and so we have to create a copy of this. So we can copy this right here, and we can change this to client info right here, and we can rename this to client info plugin, just like that. Don't forget to put the comma here. So now in our server we can run stats, OX, delay, or client info. Okay, now we got these down. Then what happens next is we are going to be able to try and run it. First thing, this is a HTML here, right? This is a string. We're going to rename this so that it's client info, just for the sake of it. And then we're going to try running it. If you are going to run it, you have to have a file here. It's called .NET 6.0. If you press the link, follow the link, it will take you to a website of belonging to Microsoft, and you can just download the file. It's a .NET .8 already. We can just download this. We can just actually download this. I already downloaded it, so we can run it. in order to run it, we have to open a terminal. So we go to terminal, new terminal. As we open up here, we can write .NET build to compile it. Then next we do .NET run. Before I run it, I want to show you in case the version is correct. My version is 8.0.1. See here, and if we check the DNWS CS project here, this one takes in the version of 6.0, but that doesn't matter. It's gonna come if there's an issue with it, then click in the terminal. There'll be a link for it. Well, you have to download version 6.0 as well for it to run, but it doesn't matter. I'll show you. So if you use .NET run right here, it will work as it sees server started port. Don't worry about anything up here. So what happens now is we can just go into our website, and then we can go to localhost at the port 8080, which is stated here. So when we type enter, this is our file. Now, if you want to go to the files that we want to go that we created, we just type in slash. Let's see, we want to go into stats, so just type in stat here. You go into stats site here. If you want to go into OX, we can just type in OX right here. But this we don't have to touch that. What we're trying to focus on is client info. So we type client info. There we go. We are in this site right here that we have touched. Right. Sorry, not stat plugin. It's in client info right here. We just typed in client info. Okay. So as you can see, we have created this. Now all we have to do is we have to make it look like this one. Okay, we need to have client IP, client port. This is an example website. Okay, now we need to have browser info, accept language, accept encoding, etc., etc. So in order for us to do it, we just have to follow this steps. One sec. So what happens now is that we need to first get the information into this place. So how do we do it? First things first, we need to accept a string. Okay, first we can stop this. I press Ctrl+C to disable it. Then I'm just gonna close this first. Okay, make it bigger just in case. All right. So now what happens is we need to import the files, right? So we create a string, and then let's say we would take in a client info. Create client info, which takes in the request dot get. This is the function that is inside the code. Don't worry about it too much, but this is how it takes in the information that is created when the user connects, and so we can take it from a file called remote endpoint. Don't worry about this as well. This line here, just think of it as it takes information from the HTTP response requests. Sorry, in programs. In case you're wondering where it comes from, it's right here. It's called right here. This one takes in, so blah 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 blah. This is, it just says, oh, okay, I take the information. Okay, if you don't care, don't worry about it. So then we create client info. So what this is going to spit out. Well, we find out. We type in. Let's see. We're going to append. Shoot. We're gonna append what? We're gonna append a. Sorry. We're going to append a client IP. Client info. Sorry. Client info. So we're linking this together. We try running it again. .NET build and .NET run. The port's open. We refresh this. As you can see, we got the IP and the port. So now it's one string. We got to split it into two because we want it to be an IP and port. So we go back, close this. Whoop. Now what we do here is we have to split it. So let's split it up. In order to split it, we use a command called split, obviously. This is IP. IP equals, sorry, we need request. We're just going to take in client info, and then we split like it says in my suggestions right here. And then we're going to do at 0. What this does is it's going to take in the first chunk of the code that is divided in between the colons. So what happens here is it's going to take the first chunk here. If it's 0, it's going to be the left chunk. If it's 1, it's going to be the right chunk. We want IP, so we're taking the left chunk. It's going to be 0. Now next we are going to copy this and create the port. It's going to be the port. Now this one's going to take in client info as well, but this one is going to take in the first part, the right part. Okay. So now we can just make it append. Let's write it as, one second, I'm going to write this as client, client IP, and then colon, and then plus, and then we write this as client IP, and then we do as it says. We break the line like HTML. Next I'm going to make another line, and then we're gonna name it port. Just copy it down. Client stop. Client port. All right. Let's try that. .NET build .NET run. Refresh that. There, voila, we got two things. Right? We got client port IP and client port. The rest is pretty not that difficult. Trust me. Because the last three it's the same thing. We get the first how to get the properties first, and then the rest they're walking apart. So what we want next is we check here. We want to have browser information, accept language, and accept encoding. This is pretty straightforward because we're just going to take in this information. You don't have to understand how exactly we find this. It's just that we are just going to use the same request. So what we're going to do here is going to do browser info is equal to request.getProperty by key, and then we're trying to use user agent. So it's user agent like it says in the suggestions. So it says here we want this thing is also known as user agent, so we have to use that. Next one we want is accept language. I just copy and paste this down here, and then I'm going to use the same thing here, accept language, and then going to copy down it one more time, and this one's going to be accept encoding. So it's going to be accept encoding. Accept encoding. So this one's going to be accept. Sorry, bad spelling. Accept encoding. Alright, so now we have these three values. Now we have to just type it in here. So we just have to create 3 more. We change it to browser info. Let's see. Well, we can do a word for word for this one. So we can use browser information here, and here would be accept language, and right here would be accept encoding. Right, and then we change these parts into browser here. Oh, sorry. And this one goes to accept language, and then accept encoding. All right. Now let's see if it works. Let's see, give it a try. .NET build .NET run. Nothing's wrong. We run it. Oh, there we have it. We have client browser info, client port, accept language, accept encoding, just like what the professor wants us to do. If you want to add more decorations, you can. I can show you real quick. What you have to do is you have to create, like in HTML, stylings. So allow me. So what happens here is we have to divide. For now, if you're done, let's say, okay, you're done here. We can do styling in it. I'll show you real quick. So styling requires a header. What happens here is we need to have a header. Okay. And then, oops, sorry, I forgot. And then we need to have a closing header. Now we can add styling to the thing here. We can just put in body, and we can do font size. Let's say you want to increase the font size. Let's do font family. Let's see. Okay, sorry, font family. We want it to be Comic Sans. I don't think they have it. Let's do Career New. Okay, and we want it to be 20 pixels. Let's say. Okay, you can try saving that. If it works, then you would notice the styling change. It doesn't really matter because oops. I forgot to add the styling. It doesn't really matter because the professor only wants us to do the code. So if you don't want to do this, feel free to just skip to me submitting the video, the clip. I mean, .NET build .NET run. Let's try that again. Okay, now it's gone, but the style's been applied, but it's the same font, but doesn't matter. Okay. Zoom out. This is the result that it's supposed to be look like. Actually, if you're done, if you don't care anymore, you can just submit this. So, how do we submit it? Well, we go to the source control here. Now we put in we can write something like, let's say, initial commit or something. Right, and then we commit and push that up. You don't have permission to push. GitHub, would you like to? Okay, so if I push this, it would work. Okay, theoretically, because if I link my account, but since this account is not linked, I would not be able to do it. So no. So okay, if you have the issue with me, like same thing where we can't push it up there, we can just go to add files and we can just upload our files that we have in our folder. So we can go to our CPE, the homework, and then we just copy the files that we changed. So the last modified files are these two. So you can just add these two files up. Then say it's changes or something. Okay, processing file. Okay, now we have the file that we want. That one. Okay, now we are ahead. Now we can contribute and then open a pull request so that we can submit the file. We can submit it. We can create a pull request. Just say, okay, create pull request. And then when the check mark comes up, we are done. To check it, we just go to pull request. You see our name changes. There we go. We have the name there. We're done. Okay, that's pretty much it for the GitHub. Now, last one, don't forget to submit our file here. What I suggest you do is you go to your folder, go to where you created your files, and then I suggest you zip this file, compress it. If you have a Mac, then you can compress it. Right click, you can zip the file, and then you can just upload the file in here. You can attach it as a RAR or a zip, and then you just turn it in. The professor will check it, and then we'll be done. That's pretty much it for the tutorial for how to do extend DNWS, okay? Appreciate that. I'll see you.